Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. What an awesome week for baseball. Two really good series, and I'm excited to get right into them and talk about the World Series. So first up, we got Red Sox and the Astros. I had the Red Sox in the series. I thought not having McCullers for the Astros was going to be kind of devastating. And I think I thought the Red Sox were going to be able to overcome that. Fortunately, they lost in six. Really devastating, I mean, they're up 2-1, and they're in Boston. Um, that's tough. That's just brutal. Overall observations from the series, Kike again continues to just tear it up like a madman in the playoffs, which is just incredible playoff performance by him. Um, I don't know. I thought it was really weird that honestly, I don't know who had the better starting pitching in that series, but I'm just really surprised that the Astros made it to the World Series with the starting pitching they had. I think it definitely outlines how weak the AL this year is. Um, there wasn't really a clear juggernaut, if that makes any sense. So I'm surprised that the Astros made it this far, to be honest, and they beat the Red Sox. I honestly, the Red Sox, I think, probably had better starting pitching than them, just because Evaldi was pitching great. You have Houck, who's pitching awesome. I thought Sale could have gotten the job done as a 3-starter. Um, but that really didn't propel them. And the Astros' relentless bats kind of wore the Sox down, and our bullpen stinks. And I knew it was going to come to bite us eventually. And that was one of the things I think Houston certainly had an advantage in. I mean, they had Javier, who gave them some awesome innings. Great arm to have out of the bullpen. They got Ryan Presley. They got Ryan Stanek. I don't know if he pitched in some in important moments, but Graveman also, and I think that definitely helps the Astros because the Red Sox bullpen was just a mess going into the playoffs. I mean, you had Barnes, who was doing very well for most of the season, and then he kind of just hit flat, a flat road and was throwing like 93 against the Rays. So then Whitlock, I guess, is your closer, and you have to use Robles a lot, and he's just not good enough to pitch in the playoffs. And they had Houck, but he kind of needed to pitch. He kind of needed to start some games, and he was getting used a lot. So I just think the Astros, their bullpen really helped them win this series, and as always, their offense produced. But really disappointing, I guess. The thing is the beautiful thing about the playoffs is, when you're a guy like me who's a Red Sox fan, it's so interesting because I remember I went into the division series where we played the Astros, and I think I can't remember, it was maybe like 2017 or 16 or something. And, we were the lower seed, and we played at Houston, and we had a good team that year, and we lost. And I remember how devastated I was. Like, it just sucked. Like, we lost in the ALDS. It was only a 5-game series. I think we got swept. And that was just awful because you had expectations. I thought the Red Sox could go deep in the playoffs. This year, I had no expectations at all. If they lost in the wild card game, I would have been disappointed. But I thought the team was going to stink. Then we beat the Rays somehow. And then we're up 2-1 on the Astros, and you're like, wow, we could be making it to the World Series. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, but I'm so proud of this team that they did, and awesome year for them. And creds to Houston. I mean, this is insane what they've been able to do, and I don't know why we're not trying to get guys from that organization more to control teams. I mean, look at what Houston's done, and hats off to the Orioles for hiring a guy who's been through that process. I mean, Houston tanked. They were horrible. They were like the worst team forever. They were just an absolute meme in the MLB. And now they've made it to the ALCS like 4 years in a row or something like that, and they're still good. Like, they're just a machine that is ongoing, and they're going to be good. They're just going to keep dominating the AL for a while, and it's really impressive. So hats out to them for that. So yeah, Astros take that series. Then we move to the Braves Dodgers, and I really thought the Dodgers were going to win this series. And the reason I thought the Dodgers were going to win this series is because they had better starting pitching than the Braves, and they had better offense as well. Now, what I thought was going to happen in this series is that, right, let's just say you got Scherzer, Morton, right? Honestly, I thought the Dodgers probably would have gotten like 2-3 off of Morton. Scherzer gives up 1, maybe 2. Same with Buehler, same with Urias. They just had such good starting pitching. And compared to the Braves, I thought, hey, most of these games down when we get into the 6th, 7th, 8th inning, it's going to be 3-1, 3-2 Dodgers just because their starter is just done better than the Atlanta starter. And that wasn't really the case in this series. The Dodgers' offense was not very good. Betts was on and off. Trey Turner was not very clutch. Justin Turner, he was not his playoff self. Justin Turner is usually just ice cold. I mean, I guess red hot, but ice cold. I mean, in the sense of being clutch. Like Justin Turner is always good in the playoffs. Seager was decent. Didn't show as much flash, but still pretty decent. Bellinger actually did rise to the occasion. And Will Smith didn't really do much. So their offense wasn't very dominant. Atlanta hit the ball well. Rosario came out of nowhere. And they really knocked up the Dodgers starting pitching pretty badly. And the Dodgers bullpen is pretty good. It's pretty good. They have a lot of really good pieces to use. They have multiple really good pieces to use. Gratterall, Vizia, Kelly, Trinan, Knebel. That's all I can name. Whereas, the Braves didn't have as many. The Braves was like Will Smith, Matzik, and who's the other damn lefty? Minter. And they don't have any righties. So, I don't know. I just really thought the Dodgers were going to pull this one out, and they didn't. And it's really disappointing. They went all out this year to win, and they couldn't do it. And I don't know I don't really know what to attribute this loss to. Is it just like your bat's going cold in the playoffs? Because I think like using the injury excuse and like the Trevor Bauer, like, oh, we didn't have Max Muncy, so we didn't win that. Like, it's still better than the Braves. So like that's not really an excuse to win, to say why you lost. And like I definitely thought they should have gotten another lefty bat instead of having like Matt Beatty in the lineup and like Gavin Lux. I mean, those guys just don't do anything offensively, and if you think they're going to do anything against playoff teams, you're just simply mistaken. Playoff pitching. So yeah, I mean, disappointing loss for the Dodgers. Still a hell of a season, and they're going to be great next year. So that's that. Moving on to the World Series. I know this is after Game 1, but I do have the Braves winning. I think they have better starting pitching. And they're just more hot than the Astros. They're just hitting the ball better. Their best bullpen arms are pitching really well. And I think they're gonna get it done. Houston, I think their starting pitching is finally going to catch up to them this series. And that's just my prediction. I know I said that the first time with the Red Sox, but Framber Valdez and, like, as we saw tonight, like, Framber Valdez, who are their other starters? Good God. Can't even remember at this point. Valdez, Luis Garcia, and, I don't even know who they're going to pitch in Game 3. But Valdez and Garcia aren't really going to fly in the World Series, and that's just my opinion. And not having McCullers really, really hurts them. They're down Verlander and McCullers. Think of how different it would be if they had Verlander and McCullers. But I think that's going to catch up to them, and I think the Braves are, if one thing we know about the Braves, they can just rake. So, I think the Braves will win this series, and become the world champs for the first time in a while. But yeah, two wonderful series to watch. A lot of great baseball, and you know, there's nothing I can really. The Sox loss I attribute to their bad bullpen, which I knew was going to catch up to them. Um, and the Dodgers, I don't really know why they lost. They just weren't very clutch, and they usually are. And sometimes that just happens. It's baseball. It's a game of failure. Sometimes that stuff just happens, which is disappointing, and you just got to come back the next year ready for it. So thanks for watching, guys. As I said, I think Bears will win the World Series. And I'm going to do an NHL video sometime soon, probably a basketball video and NFL. Got to get more active. Sorry, I've just been really busy recently. But thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you. Peace.